Boy, Jason Kelce had some tough words for his football team after the Birds dropped their 5th game in the past 6 weeks. I've also got the latest update on the Birds' injury scares from the horrific loss yesterday. And A.J. Brown held a players-only meeting just before the Giants game that might be a clue as to whether or not the Eagles are going to fire Nick Sirianni. Welcome to the dumpster fire that keeps getting worse, aka the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. Do you realize that just 6 weeks ago, Jalen Hurts did this to beat the Buffalo Bills and get Philadelphia to 9-1? Since that moment, Philadelphia's gone 1-5, and yesterday, any Eagles team put on film in maybe the last 5 years? And it's the fact that all we've heard the past 6 weeks is, oh, things need to change, and oh, we're going to do everything we can to get better, and it's on us, it's not on the coaches. And then not only play your starters versus the Giants, but get your butt absolutely handed to you in a game that technically, at least going into it, meant something is utterly embarrassing. And there are a lot of players yesterday who are going to give you the exact same rah, rah, rah quotes after the game, except for Jason Kelce, who had a pretty good not safe for work rant about what went wrong and why the Birds got killed by the New York Giants.
Jason, how would you describe what happened out there this afternoon?
Got our asses kicked. Yeah, I mean, there's not much else other way to describe it. That's about it.
Can you explain why?
Yeah, I think they beat us in every phase again. I mean, we just offensively, we did not handle the blitz well, obviously. That was very evident. And part of that's my job, which is beyond frustrating to put us in good situations. And, it's just, wasn't good across the board, and that made it difficult offensively in the first half.
And he would go on to add that it effing sucks the way we played the last 6 games. Yeah, Jason, I would say so. Of course, despite all this, Philadelphia will have a playoff game to look forward to in some sort of way next week, as the NFL announced last night that Philly will travel to Tampa to play the NFC South winning Bucs, who, by the way, put up 9 points yesterday against the, yeah, you see it, the Carolina Panthers. It'll be in primetime also on Monday Night Football for the whole world to see. Boy, I can't wait for that one. And while we'll worry about that game in due time, I'm worried about the bevy of injuries that Philadelphia sustained yesterday, including Sidney Brown, A.J. Brown, and Jalen Hurts. Now, it appears the worst of this seems to be the Sidney Brown injury, who suffered a torn ACL in the first half, no thanks to the MetLife Stadium turf. I don't know why we're still playing football games there. But this, of course, means he's done for the playoffs and could miss, here's the worst part, the beginning of training camp next season due to the time it takes to recover from ACLs these days and the fact that it's now January 8th. The scariest one, though, was A.J. Brown's knee injury that had all of us absolutely holding our breaths yesterday after, wait for it, a hip drop tackle on the one slant it seemed the Eagles decided to run on offense. Shout out to Brian Johnson. And while the initial report said Brown's ACL was fully intact, MRI results today will confirm that Brown probably did not suffer an ACL tear and should be able to push to play this week, although we're waiting on more information on that. Now, the good news is Brown was seen after the game with just a sleeve on his leg, no crutches, no knee brace, and he was hugging every single Eagles player as they walked up the field into the Birds' locker room. He also posted this picture today on his Instagram with the song I Won by Outro, which I think we take as a good sign. Now, speaking of AJ, what's even worse than the Birds looking horrific yesterday is the fact that Fox Sports leaked that Brown held a players-only meeting this week just days before the Eagles took the field against the Giants, where Brown told his teammates that we've got to start believing in our coaches. That meeting, paired with this performance on Sunday, is a really bad look for a team with obvious coaching flaws, and now a head coach who's clearly on the hot seat, which of course we'll get to in just a minute. Finally, to wrap up all the injuries, Jalen Hurts suffered what looks like a dislocated finger on, this pass here, which resulted in, I'm really queasy, a gruesome video of Hurts' finger. He did return to the game, however, so we shouldn't be too concerned. But as you see Dr. Jesse Morse on Twitter, he called this a swan neck deformity and said that treatment here really depends on whether or not there's a fracture. If there is a ligament fracture, since it's his throwing hand, the finger is vital to his throwing ability. The best case scenario is he wears a splint to prevent hyperextension. Let's hope the damage isn't more severe and he doesn't need surgery. If no fracture, then he will be able to play this week with tape. His only limitation is that he may struggle on deep throws for a couple of weeks. Now, the latest update came just a couple of minutes ago with John Clark saying, good news, sources confirm an x-ray on Jalen Hurts' finger shows there's no fracture in his dislocated finger. Really good news here for Philadelphia. Let's just hope all the Eagles can play on Monday night, like including A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith. If they can't, then it could be really ugly, and I would have to side with Jameis Winston on that.
I don't know how much worse it can get.
Now, injuries aside, yesterday's game looked absolutely no different, like the exact same as the past few few weeks. The offense had zero answers for the bevy of blitzes. The Giants, of course, threw at them time after time again. They turned the ball over and just looked completely uninterested. I mean, watch Brian Baldinger show some horrific film put on tape by the Birds yesterday. No clue how to call quick slants, hot routes, quick reads, get the ball out of Hurts' hands. It's all zero good pass protecting and long forming routes when the Giants are sending 5 or more.
Even right here, Jurgen sees it, but he got no answer for it. Like, nobody's looking for the ball. So Jalen Hurts gets out of the pocket. I mean, it's awful. You watch it right here. Here we go. Overload blitz. Here they come. Overload blitz right here. Here they come. Like, nobody is looking for the ball. All right? So Jalen gets hit right here. Okay? It's one time after another. This is 4th and 3. 4th and 3, it's man coverage. Clearly, it's man coverage. Nobody gets off the jam on 4th and 3. Like right here, everybody's jammed and Jalen's just holding it, waiting. But then Okereke comes around. Like, you can't wait forever. The Giants are going to, here he comes off the short corner, right at Jalen. He's got to make the throw. And he gets his hands hit and the ball just flutters. The passing game is pathetic. Now look, if the center and the right guard don't pick this up and he bails, all right, well, all 4 receivers are over here. There's nobody over here to get the ball to. So he just throws it away. Like, here's a safety blitz right here. Here it comes. Like, there's no answer to any of their blitzes. Nothing. Like, it's like they didn't even exist. What's the quarterback supposed to do?
Not to be outdone, defensively, Philly's defense decided that dropping Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick into coverage continues to be a really great idea. And of course, the secondary lacked any interest in both covering and tackling here. I think coaching is the issue. They're completely unprepared. They don't have the right schemes. And the worst part about it is they're not doing anything to change it. It's the same damn stuff week after week after week. Although I guess if you're Dallas Goedert, the excuse apparently is that the Eagles checked out 5 weeks ago because they already locked up a playoff spot.
I don't even know what we finished, 11-7, 11-6. You know, that's not a terrible record. Obviously, we started the season off better than we ended it, but you know, we had a long season last year, and I just know everybody in this locker room is ready to you know, go to work for the playoffs. And you know, ever since, what was it, 4 or 5 weeks ago when we clinched the playoffs, you know, I think everybody's just been waiting for the playoffs. So not something that you know, is a great thing, but I think everybody's going to be ready to go, and I think we're going to you know, show the world what we're capable of.
Like, what? Like, is that even a real quote? They checked out because they had locked up a playoff spot 6 weeks ago? Oh my goodness, it's so clear that coaching is the issue. Like, from Brian Johnson to Desai, now Patricia, and firmly believe Nick Sirianni will be coaching for his job on Monday night. If the Birds get blown out by the Bucs, it's time that he needs to go. If you guys agree with that, drop a like. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think Sirianni is gone if they lose to the Bucs? I'm going to read every single comment and see where the Eagle fan base is at. Still, though, I mean, multiple Eagles were asked about Sirianni and if he still holds the locker room intact, and everybody defended the head coach pretty clearly.
Yeah, I think everybody in the locker room has faith in Nick Sirianni. I think it's, you know, it hasn't been pretty, obviously, the last month. To say it would be an understatement. But we've had a lot of really, really successful football with Nick. I think he does a lot of really, really good things organizationally. Every game that we play is ultimately a reflection of the team and the head coach, right? So
I have a lot of confidence in Coach. You know, he puts his heart into it. He has a will to win. And that's really all you can ask for.
Yeah, that all sounds great, but the problem is we keep hearing that they do support Sirianni, but then the play on the field says completely differently. Like, you can't watch this team and think Sirianni has been a net positive for the Birds the past 6 weeks. Either way, Sirianni spoke yesterday and made his usual promises that everybody's still fighting and ready to go going forward.
Yeah, I know I felt in that locker room that, you know, we got a lot of belief in that locker room, and we know everybody, there's a lot of teams that would want to be in our position to make in the playoffs. We're in the playoffs, and we're moving on into to Tampa Bay. And everybody's got to give everything they got this week. Myself, the coach, starting with the coaches, putting a plan together, and then everybody in that locker room. We need all players, all coaches, all staff, all hands on deck, leaving everything they got in this locker room because everybody's 0-0 going into this week.
Listen, I don't envy being Jeffrey Lurie. Like, he has a very tough decision to make next week depending on the playoff outcome. Like, do you keep a coach who's gone to 3 straight playoffs and a Super Bowl, or do you fire him after what has been one of the worst collapses Jeffrey Lurie's probably seen being the Eagles owner? Now, obviously, they haven't fired Nick Sirianni yet. They're clearly going to let him coach at least through the playoff game, but we're going to have all the latest updates here on this channel. If they were to let him go, the coaching search, even the coordinator search, it's going to be a crazy, crazy offseason. If you've not hit the notification bell and subscribe, now is probably the best chance for you to do so. I don't know what to say. Like, I'm absolutely speechless and stunned by what I've seen the past 6 weeks. I've never seen something like this in Philadelphia, being a fan my entire life. If you watched the live stream yesterday, you saw me just smiling because I was just in shock. Like, it's almost hilarious to me how poorly coached this football team is. It's not a lack of talent. They have all the talent in the world. They won 10 games for Pete's sakes. They beat the Chiefs and they beat the Miami Dolphins and they beat the Cowboys. Like, the Bills, they look fantastic at times. But since that Bills game, since the 49er loss, something has happened in this Eagle locker room. Something has happened with this coaching staff. And either it's something coming from above to make them not make changes, or they're just completely unable to make the necessary changes. Either way, I've never gone into a playoff game more sure Philadelphia was going to lose than the Bucs game. And it's the Bucs. The Bucs scored 9 points yesterday against the worst team in football in the Carolina Panthers. And yet we still think Philadelphia's going to lose by double digits. I think we all do. It's just an absolutely crazy day. Let me know down below in the comments where you guys are at, and stay tuned because I expect wild stuff to happen as the days and weeks continue on. I'm Thomas Mott, at a loss for words, but hanging in there for you. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.